Hey everybody! In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you something I learned more than 20 years ago as a scrapbooking album at the time, like a mini album. But I'm just going to make it as a slider, so like a little card, a little gift, that kind of thing, because like I said, I'm not a scrapbooker. So the miniature version, I saw a YouTube short on a mini version of this. And so I kind of estimated the dimensions to make the one that I'm going to make today to specifically match some ephemera. So the first steps are easy. You just fold up 4 identical pieces of paper. I will put a PDF of the instructions and the dimensions on my class website for free. So you can head over there and get it. I'll put a link to that in the comments. So don't worry about the measurements as I'm going through this. You're basically making some open-ended envelopes. So you're making little loops of paper. And to me, they look like a Roman shade. The way the mechanism works, it looks like a Roman shade when it's finished. I unfortunately do not remember the name of this from 2001 when I learned it, but I think it was just called a scrapbook mini album. So anyway, once you have all of these little loops, essentially little paper sleeves, and you can make this as long as you want. You can make it any size you want. It's going to work the same way no matter what. But once you have the little sleeves finished, you want to make sure and use glue before I forget. Do not use double-sided adhesive. Don't use glue dots. Don't use a tape runner. This is not one of those projects where you can get away with that. So it needs to be glue, so it needs to be permanent. And I'm using my precision glue press. And then you'll need 4 little strips to go inside these sleeves. And these are what make the Roman shades work. So you'll see what I mean in just a second. You're going to put on one end of one of the sleeves, you're going to put the strip through, put 2 dots of glue on either end, and then you're going to use that to attach the second sleeve to the first sleeve. So the little strip that's inside the first sleeve will then be attached to the inside of the second sleeve. And you will want to pre-fold these little strips. I didn't do it on the first one. Still worked fine, but it's easier if you do that. And now you can see once you get the sleeve attached that these 2 things slide against each other like a Roman shade. It's very fun. So then you just keep going. You're going to repeat this. I have 4 panels on my little Roman shade. So I'm going to repeat it 3 more times. Slide the sleeve, fold it over. Just make sure it stays lined up at the top of the sleeve below it, and then insert the little end into the sleeve that you are attaching and get that crease down really well. Now you'll want to use a paper that kind of blends in. So for the little strips, I used a dark brown cardstock because I'm using this beautiful wood grain paper. This is a little bit of a heavier patterned paper. I did not try this with cardstock. I think it would work fine. I have tried it. I did my mock-up with copy paper, and that's very, very flimsy, so you don't want that. I personally really like the weight of this paper. So I'm putting my last one on. Do make sure your glue is dry. You know, I was filming. I was trying to be mindful of the time. This is even sped up twice, as you can probably tell. So I was trying to be mindful of the time, but the more time you can let that glue dry, the easier the whole mechanism is going to be to put together. So I just weighed it down with some magnets, and I'm going to pick out my little forest creatures and some mushrooms and some leaves to put on this little sliding shade. So this is a beautiful ephemera pack. I'm not sure if they still make it anymore. If they do, I will put it down below. I think I got this last December, and stuff doesn't seem to last very long these days, so I'm not sure, but I'll find you something similar, or if it still exists, I'll put a link to it in the comments because it's so cute. It's so cute, and it's mice instead of squirrels, and they're just adorable. So I'm just kind of figuring out how I want these on here. My only tip about adding to each layer, of course, you could write a little note, you could put a photo, you could do whatever you like. My only tip is just make sure all the edges are firmly glued down so they don't catch in the little shade mechanism. So I'm just putting glue all the way to the edges of each of these pieces. The top panel, I'm putting the larger butterfly in the center, and I will add a sentiment to that as well. So then on each layer, I'm putting 2 extra little pieces of ephemera. I have a butterfly and an acorn. And all these have like really soothing colors that look great with the wood grain. And then I'm saving this little mouse. See how they have like a gold sheen? They're beautiful. These are beautiful pieces of ephemera. This is not some cheap Amazon stuff. These are really, really nice. So but they all have that little gold sheen on them. And make sure you don't have any extra glue. I had a little bit of extra glue right there. You don't want anything sticking as you go to start working your little shade. So I have a little tiny, tiny bird. And then down at the bottom, I have a leaf and a butterfly. And I kind of made them drift from left to right. So the third panel up from the bottom is on the left. The second one is in the center. And then this one will be on the right-hand side. So that leaves you room for little sentiments if you want them. Or if you just want to leave it blank and have it be a cute little book, because it is such a cute little, like, closed up album. So here's the little cover I made for it, and I'll have some tips for you on the PDF. This is so easy to make. It's just a little piece of paper. And I have like a larger spine at the bottom where the book is, or the little Roman shade is going to go in. But I think that you can also do that at the top if you wanted to. It would have more of a square shape. I wanted this kind of purse shape, but I think you could do that. Just do another little seam with the same dimensions that you have at the bottom, and it'll look more like a little book. So it'll be square at the bottom and square at the top. I like this kind of purse look. So I glued 2 pieces of ephemera together for the little cover. And now I'm just working. You want to work this a couple times until if you have any extra glue on there, that'll get it off. Just work it back and forth a few times until it's moving perfectly smoothly. And then you are ready to put it inside the little cover. So you just want to put glue on the backmost panel and make sure, again, you go all the way to the edges. You don't want this coming out or kind of lifting up, because the person who gets it is going to be moving it back and forth, because it's going to be impossible to resist doing the little Roman shade action. So just glue that into the little purse, little pocket. My magnet wants to fly off there. I have those little forces working against each other. Look how cute that is. Oh my gosh, I love those little ephemera. So cute. There's also a little snail in there that's really adorable. Then I took a little sticker from my little sentiment book and put that on top of the butterfly. And then you can see how it slides up like a Roman shade, and it all stays together. Nothing comes off. It's such a fun project. Be sure and click more in the description so you can get a link to the pattern and more information about what I used in this video. Thanks so much for watching.